Now, the 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Brought to you by TireOutlet.com. Wholesale prices, premium service.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it.
Woo! It is time for the 10-minute drill. Lauren Rue, Donna Murphy, Lauren Brooks with you, and Beef, who has a prize pack to give away a little later in the show. Beef, what do we have?
Stay tuned when one of these fancy ladies gives you the cue to call. Going to get yourself a pair of tickets to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl coming up Monday down at TIAA Bank Field. And that includes a pair of concert field passes for Cole Swindell following the game.
That's right.
You're
It's going
not
to be a
eligible,
fantastic concert.
Lauren Brooks.
I'm not.
Sorry
It's
about
made
it.
me jealous all week. But a lot of shows or a lot of activity will be certainly around Jacksonville as the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl kicks off Monday. That is New Year's Eve at 7:30. And your show, Midday Chalk, will be live from TaxSlayer Gator Bowl
That's
right
right.
outside in the Fan Entertainment Zone. The Frangie Show, which I will rejoin on Monday, will be live from there as well. So we'll be bringing you lots of fun facts about this year's game between Texas A&M and NC State. And then, of course, fireworks and the Cole Swindell concert after the game. All right, ladies. Dan asked me a question yesterday morning that his son actually had asked him, his younger son, and I had to think about it for a while. I came up with an answer right away, but then the more I thought about it, the more I kind of wanted to change my answer. So I'm going to ask both of y'all. Which player has been more impactful to their sport? LeBron James in the NBA or Tom Brady in the NFL? Right?
Which has been more impactful
I would say Brady.
to their sport.
And why?
I would say Brady for the fact of he has hit numbers that you don't see being broken for his lifestyle, for the way he goes about it. And then, I mean, you also have him paired with Belichick. But with because you mentioned LeBron. LeBron, there's always that who's better. Is it LeBron or Jordan? So LeBron already kind of has Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, if you want to go with maybe Tiger Woods or Michael Jordan, that would probably be a harder decision for me to make.
Okay.
But because LeBron is so much like Jordan, I would have to go with Brady.
And I'm shocked, by the way, that you picked Tom Brady as your answer.
You're the one that threw
Completely
him out as an
surprised.
option.
You know what? Their stories are so different, right? LeBron was a superstar before he even stepped foot in the professional ranks, and Tom Brady was a sixth-round pick who we've all seen his combine video at this point. They thought, who the hell is this big, goofy guy coming in here? Who has been more impactful on their sport? Golly, the dynasty, the talks of what they've both done. That's a really, really good question. LeBron, to me, because he's done things outside of his sport as well, I know that kind of brings the rules.
No,
there
that's
on the
kind of how I
question,
answered the question.
right? Is kind of been a guy who's taken the responsibility of being a superstar and at times taken his platform past just whatever he does on the basketball court.
And now time for one of you to ask a question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Is that how this transition works?
I was
And
waiting
now
for-
it's your turn.
I was waiting for you to answer, then I forgot.
You don't answer your own question on
I
the
know, right?
10-minute drill, I don't
That's right.
guess. Okay.
My question to you, ladies, and I think I know how this is going to go, but does it seem crazy to possibly keep Blake Bortles here, but designate him as your backup?
For me, it's crazy because of the contract amount. The Jaguars, when they extended him for about $60-some-odd million, they at that point were pricing themselves way out of backup money. I mean, your backup right now in Cody Kessler cost you about $900,000. Chad Henne before that cost about $3 to $4 million. I think that's right in that sweet spot, or maybe a little bit less than that. But yeah, Blake Bortles at $20.5 million a year. There is no way you can structure your salary cap and everybody else on your roster if you're paying a backup quarterback that much money.
I think it's not crazy to think he'll still be here. I mean, I have all these pipe dream ideas as to how the Jags are going to make sweeping changes. And I heard Mike DeRocco on the other day with Jaguars today, and he said something that I believe as well. I would not be surprised if really the only move made was replacing Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, I think we all want to hope there's all this change because things have been so bad and there's so many problems that seem to just kind of compound as the season goes on. So do I see him hanging around and making that kind of money as a backup? Maybe not. That's not the initial plan. Do I see a scenario where he hangs around, he's the starter come week 1, week 2, week 3, and then maybe turn into a very high-paid backup? Yeah, I can see that happening for sure.
There's no way in my mind that happens. A, we've already had the reports that he's probably leaving. But B, also, he has been benched, right? Like you cannot take a
Well, they
guy
already brought him. These guys
who's
he
been
started.
benched and yes, he was benched in preseason last year, but that's completely different.
Yeah.
But benched during the season, in my mind,
Well, they're bringing him back to
no
start
way.
on Sunday.
They are because they realized that Cody Kessler would have gotten manhandled because their offensive line is in shambles, and he's already been sacked 18 times back there, and he just doesn't have the mobility that Blake has. Honestly, I think the only reason Blake Bortles is getting the start is because they're afraid for Cody Kessler's life if he goes up against that Texans defensive front.
All right, we'll get in a time machine here. And, when you tell yourself, you know what, this is what I would have told myself at the age of 10 or 15 or 18 or 22 or whatever it happened to be. I'm going to ask you to do that, but in terms of a smaller sample size. Go back to the beginning of this season. If there's one thing you could warn Jaguar fans about, or the team in general, a piece of information from the future visiting saying, you need to be aware of this or get ready for this, what would it be?
Blake Bortles isn't good. Playoff Blake is a myth. Just so
would you tell him that, the team that, the fan base that, Dave Caldwell that, Doug Marrone that?
Whoever you want me to tell. Yes. Playoff Blake was just a myth. It was a one-time wonderful thing that did occur. But, it was like a magical season.
I think I would have to warn everybody, and I think with this warning, it would be enough to show them the end result of the season. But if I warned everyone that this season Leonard Fournette would have less than 500 yards, I think at that point everyone would realize that, A, he has obviously not had the season that everyone predicted, and B, this offense is going to implode because the star of the offense is not out there or is not productive. And both of those things have come to fruition, unfortunately, this season. So I think that would be enough of a warning, because I do think coming into this season, Donna, people weren't expecting Blake Bortles to be
no.
elite
Everybody
quarterback.
was living off the Miles Jack wasn't down. They looked amazing against New England. We should have been in the Super Bowl. Playoff Blake was amazing. This could be a great year.
But I don't think they were expecting him to be a completely different quarterback. I think they were expecting the offense to be built around the run game, for him to be able to be the game manager, not a franchise quarterback, but a game managing quarterback. And then the defense would fill in the holes. I think that was the expectation. But if someone told me Fournette would have less than 500 yards this season, I would go, this team is not winning more than 6 games.
I would have thought
just
he's
no way.
hurt or
Sure,
what
which is a giant problem because of this. And speaking of Fournette, he did not practice yesterday due to an ankle and foot injury that has certainly plagued him. Injuries have plagued him his entire career so far, the first 2 years of his career. Should the Jaguars make him inactive on Sunday?
Make him inactive on Sunday?
Yes. If he's not already ruled out.
I say yes.
Sure, I guess.
I mean, if he's not helping
I don't know
you,
that it matters.
if he's not helping you, like Cody Kessler, if you think he's going to do more harm, then don't put him in.
I would say if he gives you the best chance to win, then absolutely make him inactive, because at the end of the day, I don't really think you want to win this game.
Yeah, but I kind of want to ruin, the Texans' chance of,
Yeah, but you also
winning
want to
the
give away
division.
your first-round pick. So if you,
I do.
I
I want
know.
to give away my first round pick.
So
yes.
in terms of moving up the board, though, it does you no good to win this game.
That is correct.
The morality, the moral victories, the ending on a high note, absolutely not. The worst possible thing for this team right now would be to win that game. So if keeping Fournette in there gives you a better chance to do so, then yeah, make him inactive.
I don't know. Like you said, I want to give away my first round pick. So I want to win. I want to give the Texans needing to, have other teams win or lose for them to win the division, screw them. I enjoyed that we beat Miami last year, knocked them out of the playoff, or last week, knocked them out of the playoffs. Way to go. So let's mess up with the Texans and make them hope and pray that they need another team.
All right, what else y'all got?
I only had one. I thought, my
bad. The 10-minute drill falls flat on its
10-minute drill was
face.
one question for me.
I'll give y'all another question.
Okay, I've got one as well.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, the best sports story, if you could think, I'll give you one while you mull it over. This season, one that is, there are no rules to this, but one of the best sports stories This was one, Tyler Trent, young
he's
man out of
one
Purdue,
of the first one that comes to mind.
who is battling cancer and is fighting essentially his last few days, according to him, in the post he makes, what he's done for just the entire fan base of Purdue. But what also he's kind of done to like mankind, if you
Sure.
will, on a much bigger note, has been an
Yeah.
incredible story and one that I think will be forever remembered for this.
To be in that situation where you're that young, you know that your time on earth is limited, and yet to be posting about how grateful you are and how much gratitude fills you, I think that's incredible. I will say, I'll go on the field. The SEC championship, Alabama and Georgia. Tua Tagovailoa gets hurt with that ankle injury. Obviously, right now he's rehabbing that, and now a guy in Jalen Hurts who originally was 26-2 with Alabama as a starter, and then in the national championship game last year gets benched at halftime, comes in for Tua and leads Alabama to beat Georgia. To me, the fact that he stayed, he prepared every day, and he was able to do that for his teammates, I thought that was incredible. We talk about quarterback competitions, and I don't think we ever really truly think the person that you spend the most time with is the direct competitor of you. You get to start the football game only if you beat out that person, yet you go through all workouts with that person, you watch film with that person, and I think that's extraordinarily difficult to constantly be with someone that you're fighting against for a starting job, and yet Nick Saban has been able to manage all of that, and I think the personalities that we've seen really shine have been
It's definitely
Jalen Hurts.
It's definitely a very unique situation in times where we see quarterbacks and when anybody transfer, but more specifically with quarterbacks because they get such limited reps if they're not the starter. It is very interesting and at sometimes a breath of fresh air to see a guy go, you know what, I'll step back now and wait for my opportunity. And it's kind of interesting the way, as you mentioned, in the championship game for the national championship, he's benched, but then to come in and win the SEC championship for his team is a redemption story of sorts.
And
Yeah,
you said
absolutely.
best sports story
Yeah,
of
sure.
2018, right?
Yeah.
Of
mhm.
all, okay, I'm going with the resurgence of Tiger. Tiger is back. Tiger won. It made golf so exciting again this year. I had a blast, and I was probably one of few that actually watched and somewhat enjoyed the Tiger v. Phil. But seeing Tiger Woods back out there and the crowds at the PGA Championship were sick. It was just amazing and something you don't see that.
I thought for sure you'd go with the Red Sox winning the World Series.
Oh, well, I mean, that's great.
That's old news now. She's won too many championships out there in Boston that's just another one to
Tigger.
add to it.
Must
Gotta go
be
with
nice.
Tigger.
What song best describes this Jaguars season? We will tell you what our selections are coming up next. But before that, we need a caller. Caller number 4. You are going to win a pair of tickets to the TaxSlayer Gator Bowl between Texas A&M and NC State, and a pair of on-field passes so that you get to see the concert by Cole Swindell. Is that right, Beef?
That is correct.
And do they get anything else?
They also can get a free hug from me if they come quickly.
Big beefy dude.
All right, we'll be back. You are listening to The Drill on 1010XL 92.5 FM.